There are two fundamental elements that make up a great smartphone: hardware and software. The Google Pixel is a smartphone that features incredible software, but subpar hardware. The question is whether or not the software experience makes up for the lack of hardware-related features. The Google Pixel is the first smartphone made by Google, or at least that is what the search giant is advertising. The phone is actually built by HTC, but Google says they remained in control of the design process, much like Apple has over their iPhones, which are technically manufactured by Foxconn. The build of the Pixel and the Pixel XL has some unique characteristics. For starters, the glossy glass backplate that rests on the back of the phone, covering the fingerprint scanner. Well, that's certainly unique. I do think it's a poor design overall, as it's kind of prone to cracking and might be at least partly to blame for the halo lens flares often found in the images, captured via the rear-facing camera, which we'll talk more about later. The aluminum body and the antenna lines resemble an iPhone. The phone is one of the slickest around too. I will highly recommend a skin or a case. I actually dropped the Pixel XL on my carpet and it bounced and hit the edge of the carpet where my carpet meets the hardwood floors. It hit the carpet transition strip and managed to actually dent the rear of the phone right above the USB-C port. So you can tell the aluminum case here is very malleable. There were also some other minor scrapes and scuffs here and there. You might want to throw this phone in a case or check out some D-brand skins. The fingerprint scanner on the rear works well to unlock the phone. Since it's on the rear, it's going to make unlocking the phone difficult when sitting on a flat surface. But to sweeten the deal of having the sensor on the rear, Google has added a feature to swipe down on the scanner to reveal the notification panel. I actually ended up turning this feature off as it's a bit too sensitive, often resulting in unwanted sliding. Though I did download an app called Fingerprint Gestures that lets me further customize the commands using the fingerprint scanner, something that you can do on Android and not iOS. As for the other Pixel-specific gestures, you can jump to the camera by double pressing the power button, flip the camera to switch in and out of selfie mode, double tap to check phone, and lift to check phone. Those last two features were actually recently added with Android 7.1, so maybe we'll see even more gestures added in the near future. The speakers are a bit disappointing, especially considering HTC touched this phone in some way, shape, or form. Even though Google designed the phone, I can tell HTC was reluctant to build a phone without decent speakers. The speakers here are bottom-facing, and they only come out of the left-hand side of the phone and often get covered up by my fingers. On the flip side, the camera packed inside the Pixel XL is pretty high-end. First of all, the sensor itself doesn't protrude from the rear of the phone, yet it rivals the Galaxy S7 and the iPhone 7 in terms of image quality. It features a 12.3 megapixel sensor with an f2.0 aperture and a large 1.55 micron pixels that soak up a ton of light. With Pixel in the name, you kind of have to assume the camera is good, and thankfully it is. I took this phone with me and captured some photos in Seattle and at the Portland Saturday Market, and even during one of my Thanksgiving dinners. Yes, I had multiple Thanksgiving dinners. And I was able to capture some great results. The photos are properly exposed in most scenarios and contain lots of detail. Low light photos were especially impressive. The large 1.55 micron pixels certainly help with low light photography. Now, the Pixel and the Pixel XL may frequently add a halo ring to your images. It's a fairly widespread issue when the phones first launched. However, Google is actually fixing the problem via software updates, and I can say the software updates are working to actually remove the unwanted halo ring from my photos. As for video quality, the 4K footage is equally impressive. It can capture some well-exposed videos with plenty of detail, but what I found to be interesting is that the Pixel doesn't feature optical image stabilization. It actually only features electronic image stabilization software, and it surprisingly works wonders. The EIS software supports up to 4K, and it's absolutely insane how good of a job it does. I captured some footage walking down a sidewalk in both 1080p and 4K, and it was very smooth, and that's coming from a guy who's not very smooth. I'm only smooth with the ladies. Back to the review. The 8 megapixel front-facing sensor performs well. I do love the wide-angle sensor here. What's also neat is the fact that Pixel owners will be able to store unlimited full-resolution images and videos to the cloud. That's a pretty big deal, and it just makes the cameras all the better and all the more enjoyable to use on a daily basis. The Pixel XL also features a large 5.5-inch QHD AMOLED display with a 534 pixel per inch index that pairs beautifully with the Daydream View. Google's virtual reality viewer, the display itself has good viewing angles and is very saturated, but it does have a very noticeable blue tint to it. Now, the last area to talk about in relation to the hardware is the battery life. It's very good with the Pixel XL. You can get around 5 hours of screen on time, and if you're a heavy user, you're gonna want to get the Pixel XL over the Pixel as it features a much larger 3450 mAh battery. So that's the hardware of the Pixel XL. It's a mixed bag. There's a lot of great things, but also some not so great things about the hardware. The speakers are poor. There's no IP67 or 68 water resistance rating, no curved display or IR blaster, or really anything to help separate it from the competition. But I have saved the best for last, and that's where I get to talk about the software, Android 7.1.1 Nougat. The Pixel XL runs the Pixel Launcher. It's a unique launcher designed for the Pixel smartphones, and it features a design reminiscent of the Google Now launcher. There are 5 icons located below, and if you swipe up, you'll see all of your installed apps. There's a weather widget in the upper right-hand corner and a Google tab in the upper left-hand corner. The Google search bar doesn't run across the entire top of the device like it does on the Now launcher. You can still swipe right to view Google Now, but overall, there's a very clean, very
I'm not sure how to help with that yet.
Oh, I woke up the beast. You can toggle notifications up top without having to fully expand the notification drawer, and if you tap on the overview button, you could drag an open app to the top to initiate multitasking. Oh, multitasking, a feature that I have been waiting for many years now. It's good to see here. What makes the Pixel and the Pixel XL so unique is the Google Assistant. It's built into the operating system. All you need to do is long press the home button or say, "Okay, Google," and the assistant will appear. You can ask the Google Assistant, which is an artificial intelligence, all sorts of questions, sports scores. You can set reminders, timers, alarms, control select smart home appliances as well. You can text a friend. You name it, the Google Assistant can probably deliver a query. What's more is that it's conversational now, so it'll respond with witty remarks, kind of similar to Siri. However, the Google Assistant is much more advanced. And I will say, it's nice to see the Google Assistant here, but I don't see why it has to be exclusive to the Pixel devices, besides for marketing purposes. The Google Assistant will come to other Android devices. It's really only a matter of time. There are a lot of features like this not found on other Android devices or iPhones, and while there are some bugs here and there, I actually found my iPhone to be much more buggy in everyday usage than the Pixel XL. Now inside the device, kind of back to the hardware, we have a Snapdragon 821 processor with 4 GB of RAM. But you combine the high-end specifications like this with a stock Android skin, and you'll be amazed at what you see. You see apps load incredibly fast and with very little lag or stuttering. The Pixel is just like a Nexus device when it comes to being very fluid. If you've never had the pleasure of using a Nexus device, you really should. Whether it's a Pixel or a Nexus, the experience is unrivaled in my opinion. There's actually a feature built into the Pixel and the Pixel XL that will let you talk to the Google support team whenever and wherever you are, whenever you need help. It's actually built into the settings, so that's a pretty good resource to look into if you're new to Android and you need some help or just have any questions. Now, as much as I love the software found inside the Pixel, I'm torn between whether or not it's good enough to let me forgive some of its hardware shortcomings. Unfortunately, because Android and iOS are so similar these days, I don't feel like it is. I would have liked to have seen Google take more of a risk with the Pixel's hardware. At the very least, I would have liked them to have matched the hardware specs and features of the leading Android devices, especially if they're going to sell the Pixel smartphones for around $800 off contract. For that price, they need to offer water resistance, expandable storage, an IR blaster, front-facing speakers, and or maybe even a curved display of sorts. Until the price comes down some more, I can't say that the Pixel XL is the best Android smartphone of 2016. It's a wonderful phone that is certainly in the top 5 list for the year, and it did become all the more appealing when the Note 7 got recalled, but I still can't say it's the very best Android device of the year. I do recommend for those who want a stock Android experience to go check out last year's Nexus device, the Nexus 6P. It's still a great device, and it's even cheaper now that it's a year old. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have in the comments below. As always, I'm BoHD from PhoneDog.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you right back here in the next one. See ya.